It is good to praise Elohim and to sing praises to his name, O Most High. Beautiful morning here in the Ozarks. Possibly some rain showers moving in this afternoon. And all kinds of things happening in the news. Israel has been, they're supposed to be not striking Iran, so they've kind of got a ceasefire there, although there has been a few little things. They're apparently working out some kind of ceasefire deal with Hamas, so they've turned back to Hezbollah, and they've made some strikes into Lebanon against Hezbollah. There's also, speaking of the situation, Iran and the United States, or Israel and the United States, are using stronger and stronger language against Iran because they are demanding that the International Atomic Energy Agency have access to Iran's nuclear systems and their development. Iran has decided absolutely not, that all that is a bunch of spying on them, and that they will not allow them in the country. And no one knows where the 440 some kilograms of enriched uranium is. Just a little bit of trivia side note, 440 kilograms of enriched uranium would fit inside a shoebox. So that's how dense that stuff is. Anyways, and so Israel and the United States is demanding that Iran turn over that enriched uranium just to give it to them. I just don't see that happening, but maybe I'm incorrect. We will see, right? But they've been demanding that. I guess Israel could use it with their secret nuclear weapons program. Who knows? The president is set to sign a bunch of executive orders to promote the development of energy, of electricity and energies for artificial intelligence. You know, this has been a question for a while now with all this push for AI, and the building, this massive infrastructure building of facilities to house massive artificial intelligence systems is where are we going to get the electricity? Where are we going to get the energy for it? And so the president is signing executive orders for that. I'm very convinced that this will come from nuclear power plants, probably micro power plants that can be easily built. So we'll see. There's a lot of interesting information about that that's probably too boring and long for a video, but a lot of this rare earth minerals, Greenland plays into that, And then within the first few days of office, the president signed some executive orders allowing companies to mine things here in the United States and to use eminent domain to take properties here in the United States because of all that. So that was interesting. So that's moving forward just as planned. Peter Thiel, some of you may not know who he is. You should probably become familiar with his name. He's a buddy of J.D. Vance, and he was also an investor and part of Palantir. He's part co-owner or startup guy and an investor with Palantir. There's an interesting interview out there. I'm not really sure exactly yet what to take of it. It's not like he's admitting anything, right? It's just interesting. Of course, they're talking about AI, Palantir, all of this advanced technology, and then Peter Thiel goes into this kind of talk of the Antichrist and how, and he's not like talking about it like he thinks it's good. He's talking about it from a warning that it's the Antichrist will rise up. And in the interview, the question is asked, well, if the Antichrist is going to come and use technology to control and subvert humanity, then wouldn't the Antichrist be using the technology that you, Peter Thiel, and Palantir are investing in and building? So wouldn't he look at what you're doing and think it's great because it would work perfect for him as the Antichrist? And Peter Thiel is like, well, I don't know, maybe it's possible. And it's just an interesting, strange interview. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what to think of it. I just think it's interesting that Peter Thiel, Palantir, and Antichrist are all squished into one few-minute little interview there. So just letting you know. Probably the big thing that I wanted to bring out to you is the big beautiful bill. Big beautiful bill that the president is trying to get passed. Inside of that big beautiful bill that most people have never read because it's a very lengthy big bill, is what's called the Short Act and another one, I can't remember the two acts. And some of you know exactly what they are. One is short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, a few other things that the only way for you to purchase them now is you have to go through all this paperwork and you have to pay a tax stamp. This removes the tax stamp from those. And then also suppressors, silencers, or suppressors to remove the tax stamp from that. Well, that has been removed from the big beautiful bill. So if it continues forward and gets passed, which it probably will, that part of it is no longer part of it. So don't get excited and say, well, you know, I don't really like the big beautiful bill because of this or that. But, you know, the short-barreled rifles and shotguns and silencers, that'd be a good thing. Well, that's out of it. I was never too excited about it anyways, because you still have to go through the paperwork. You just don't have to pay the tax fees. And, you know, to me, it's not about the money. It's about, I'm not going to go beg from government to do something that I have a constitutional right to do. I felt the same way about concealed carry permits. I'm not going to go beg from the government to get a concealed carry permit if that's something I should be able to do according to the Constitution anyways. I was part of, myself and another man were the first in Missouri, and this was way back when. This was actually before the concealed carry permit happened. We were pushing for making permitless concealed carry a thing here in Missouri, collecting signatures. And of course it didn't pass, but you know, shortly thereafter the concealed carry permit passed, and then now we have constitutional carry, the permitless concealed carry. So government just has a way of making you feel like you're special, right? Oh, if you pay this fee and you give us all this information and you ask us and you beg us for something, then we'll let you do it when you should be able to do it anyways. But I wanted to let you know that that's what's going on with that. So yeah, don't get your hopes up. You shouldn't anyways. Anytime government is involved in your rights, you shouldn't get your hopes up, because they're going to do everything they can to control and subvert them. So the government has proven, I think, for a very long time, not a trustworthy holder and protector of your rights. Even though that's what they were supposed to be. That's what the Bill of Rights was supposed to establish, that government's job is to protect. You know, they're supposed to protect, and it holds the government back and to protect us because of our rights. Anyways, there's a lot of that happening. Free speech, and it's not just the left. The right is doing it. There are things that I know a lot of people jump up and cheer that Trump or, you know, the right is doing about, you know, certain left-leaning news media markets that I don't particularly like, but it's also an attack on you know, the press, and that's just not a good thing. There should be freedom of speech and press, and the American people has the right and the ability to choose which one. If the government wants to say we're not going to give tax exemptions and tax breaks to this one or that one, we're just going to make it neutral, that would be okay. But anyways, I'm going off on a side rant that I had not intended to do. So let's get back on track. The point is your guns are not safe. You knew that. You have a God-given right that is protected by the Constitution to be able to defend yourself. And what the government says and does is ridiculous. And, you know, I always said before that if I felt that I needed to carry something to protect myself, I was going to do it regardless of what happened. I'd rather be, you know, judged by 12 than carried by 6 or whatever. This whole internet stuff, the AI stuff with Palantir, I think it's very serious. I think it's more serious than what people are, you know. And I've said this before. I think a lot of times because the technology is so advanced, and I'm not putting anyone down because I fall into that too. The average person doesn't know enough about this advanced technology to fully understand what they're talking about. You know, it takes me a little time to kind of dig in and learn about it when I, you know, oh wow, that's what it's doing. Oh, that's crazy. And that's how they're getting this stuff slipped by. The average American doesn't see how devious it is, how it is infecting everything, how it's everywhere. You know, there's more and more push almost on a daily basis from Congress and the Treasury and Commerce Department and all this other to push the crypto and the Bitcoin and all of that kind of stuff, the stable coins. And then, of course, artificial intelligence is just, it's ramping up. I feel personally that this will be our demise. I could be wrong, but this is what's going to control us. This is what's going to lead us astray. You know, I could easily see a scenario where at some point in the future, people start looking at artificial intelligence as a sort of deity, because in some ways, not all, but in some ways, it fulfills the definition of that. You know, it's all knowing. It can answer all your questions. It can fix everything. It's more powerful than you and I are. And at some point, that's how it's going to be looked at. I mean, there's already artificial intelligence Jesuses. I've shared that before, where churches are using that. You can go into a Catholic church or something and do confession. You go in the little booth, and it's actually an AI on the other side, you know, doing the confession and stuff. This is becoming more and more prevalent and serious, and I understand the wars and stuff sound important, the economy is important, but this is something that's actually happening. You know, we can sit here and debate whether or not we're going to go to war with Russia or going to go to war with China, or if we're going to be nuked, or if nukes will ever be used, or, you know, if the economy and the dollar will collapse, will it hyperinflate, you know, will we go through another Great Depression? Maybe, maybe not. The AI is happening. There's no debate about that, and it is advancing rapidly depending on the parameters. You know, it's doubling in capability every 6 to 12 months. It's moving well beyond the capabilities of humans very quickly, and some scientists believe that we're months or years away from the singularity, which is that kind of point of no return where technology surpasses humanity and human capabilities, and where technology basically takes over, kind of the Terminator Skynet thing. We're not that far away. And everybody on every side is doing everything they can to push it even more. And that's scary. And you should be getting yourselves prepared for it. You know, those firearms I told you that you have a right to own and to use is probably going to become helpful with that. But anyways, your best bet, I think, at this point is to develop your own plan to live outside of the system. Become as self-sufficient as possible. Try to find a place to live where you can, it possibly be kind of hidden away. Yeah, I know they got drones and they can find you and all that kind of stuff, but you know, they may not be interested in you if you just kind of tuck away with your own little community and, you know, do your own thing. Learn how to grow food, learn how to preserve it, and learn how to kind of take care of yourself, because it's very possible that we may see a day that that's the only way to survive outside of this. The scripture has references many times of you know, running to the wilderness for protection, or going to the wilderness to find the Father, or, you know, when you're fleeing danger, running to the wilderness. And even though there's certainly no direct command or obvious scripture that says that, there's many references that indicate that. And so I think it's definitely a good idea to do. Because it's coming at us, folks, faster than you can and I can even imagine. Get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.